Getting to the point with the Eagles was last year's magic mostly driven by two great coordinators who were so good they got head coaching jobs, and both are overachieving now, one with Arizona and one with the Colts. When teams have personnel, but they can't resolve issues, that's a head coach issue. That's the Chargers defense with Brandon Staley. It's better since he left. Nick Sirianni, they were outscored 29-10 by Arizona. That's a bad defense. They have the receiver talent, the tight end talent, the O-line talent, the left tackle talent, the running back talent, the quarterback's talented. It's all there. Outside of the tush push, what are they offensively? A.J. Brown has not had a touchdown. He didn't have one in December. Not one. How? Jalen Hurts is now wildly inconsistent. Has more giveaways this year. We still got a game to go. Than he had the previous 2 years when he had offensive coordinator Shane Steichen in the building. The pass rush, where did it go? Last year, first in the league, 70 sacks, blew the league away. This year, little more than half, 41. Was it the coordinator? Was it the personnel? I'm not saying some of their defensive shortcomings, they're not very good in the back end. But Nick Sirianni, McVay, and Kyle Shanahan have lost great coordinators, and they just keep finding great ones. Maybe it's luck. But Sirianni had two great coordinators. They both left, and it looks like he kind of missed on the next guy.
Let me talk my shit again.
What it do? This is the Talk My Shit Again podcast. I'm yet again more humble than hostile, and your host, Cassius Cliff. Before we even get into any of this, before we even get into the body that was the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, New Year's Eve, I want to definitely take some time out to thank all y'all. Thank y'all for watching, for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. All that is dope. I appreciate all of it. Continue to do that because we got to have a family meeting. If you know anything about family meetings are never fun. It's never about fun shit. It's always about the bad stuff that we do not want to talk about. Gonna be some feelings hurt, some accountability needs to be had, and really some real self-reflection needs to be had when it comes to this Philadelphia Eagles team and even the fans. Because here as a fan, obviously I've never even been in the locker room. I don't know what it feels like in there. I know what it feels like for me, and probably like a lot of us Eagles fans. A lot of us, we remember vividly these times. That was pretty much all last year, and even going into the tough stretch of this year and this season. I mean, we just had a second half shutout against the Miami Dolphins that put up 70 points a couple weeks prior. We're riding high. We're loving it. But here's where we are right now. We literally are asking ourselves, we're asking the players, if the coaches want to answer, what the hell are we doing? What happened to us? Where is our identity? How we even lost it? How we forgotten who we are? And at this point in the season, given that there's only one game left to play in the season, these 3 games in particular, that is the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles. That is the team that is capable of putting up a lot of points, hanging tough, and really even beating some of the better teams in the league. When it comes down to situationally winning a game that is an easy game to win, or should be. I mean, you're talking about a game against Zach Wilson with the Jets, Drew Lock with the Seahawks, and even though I got respect for Kyler Murray, the goddamn Cardinals. None of those teams are good, aside from maybe the Seahawks, but none of those teams are good, and we were in position to put those games away, and we did not. We absolutely folded, and that is who we are right now. We're a team that, when we're in position and we should be putting the game away, we just have not. I just mentioned that Miami Dolphins game that we won comfortably. Seems like damn near last season, it feels like. But no, it was earlier this year. But we're so far removed from that, we do not know who we are. At least as fans, we can't tell other fan bases or other people, like, yeah, this is what my team does the best. Aside from the brotherly shove and just folding at the least opportune time. That's what we're consistent at. Now let's go and get into it because as we're well aware, the score was 35-31 and my prediction was 31-13, I believe, if not 14. So on that end of my prediction anyway, that was held up. I did not in any way, shape, or form could foresee the Cardinals putting up 35 points, let alone 20. But let's go and get into it. And obviously, if they were able to put up 35, the defense had a huge role in this. Now, why am I going to this play in particular first? Because I feel like it's very, very telling and indicative of what this team has been. We damn near pitched a shutout in the first half, had a pick six to cap it off. So the defense actually showed up in the first half, even scored a touchdown. They start off the second half 21-6, and they're just moving the ball at will. I mean, Eli Rooks getting shaken out of his own body. I mean, his soul left his body on this play because it makes no sense. Not only was he out there by himself, but completely did not know how to break down and wrap up and make a tackle. I mean, this is Michael Carter, who was playing for the Jets probably when we lost to the Jets. So we done lost to the same player twice in the same season on two different teams. That right there is not a good look. That is not a good look in the slightest. More on the defense. The defense just cannot make any stops when it comes to the short game, passing wise, and really across the middle. I mean, that is open season against virtually anybody. Because I mentioned this receiving core for the Arizona Cardinals has nobody to mention, nobody to write home about, none of that. Hollywood Brown is on IR. Really the only options was going to be James Conner, Trey McBride. Yes, Greg Dortch had a decent game. I don't even know the other guy's first name, Wilson. He scored a touchdown. That is who we are. We allow guys that weren't supposed to be starting, that weren't supposed to score, have for career days, if not days that they could look back on and build on because they actually had production. That's what we've been doing all season. Sunday was no different. I mean, it may look like the same play that I'm showing y'all, at least in the last two clips, but they're not the same play. It is just the same thing happening. It's a reoccurring theme. This defense continually gets bent over and really just abused whichever way the other team wants to abuse us. This play, though, in particular, really, I thought was probably the backbreaker. Aside from that touchdown on Keely Ringo, this one really stung because you're talking about after where we could have really put the game away, and we had to punt the ball back right back to them, and they just drove down and scored. And after Josh Sweat being able to possibly get a sack and really push them out of possibly getting a touchdown and put them in field goal position, what does he do? He doesn't wrap up. He doesn't get the sack. And James Conner makes a one-handed catch on Nick Morrow, who has been getting abused all season. And yes, James Conner is a respectable running back, but we're talking about James Conner here. He's not supposed to be making one-handed grabs on anybody. But leave it up to the Eagles to allow him to do and make a great play, because that's what we've been doing all season. Or at least in the latter parts of the season. I'll definitely say that. And that was just the defense. That was the defense's responsibility. I would say the defense's culpability in the debacle that was Sunday, losing to the Cardinals. But let's just look at the offense for a second and really why they were even able to pull this game out. Because when it came down to the game being at its tightest point, when it be tied 28-28, what did the Cardinals do? They do an onside kick, and we have the ball on their side of the field. First down. I mean, we're talking about possibly the best field position we've had all season. But what does Brian Johnson do after we get a first down penalty for holding? We run two back-to-back QB runs. But on this second down in particular, 2nd and 16, after we actually picked up yardage, he runs it again and thinking that we're going to catch the defense off guard. And without showing you the screenshot, there was 7 people in the box on that second down, if not that first down as well. So they were wholeheartedly expecting a QB run, probably because it's Jonathan Gannon and he's been a part of this team, or he was a part of this team just last year. So he's probably well aware of the tendencies. You weren't fooling anybody, Brian Johnson. You only fooled yourself, because that was an abysmal play call. But let's go ahead and get into the offense, because the offense definitely dropped the ball at the least opportune time. speaking of drop balls, I mentioned y'all this clip not too long ago when it came to that James Conner touchdown. This led up to that. I mean, it's 3rd and 5. We need a first down just to continue to kill the clock and put this game away. But instead of getting a well-designed play that could easily result in a first down or put us in position, at least for the brotherly shove, we take a shot down the field. Now, I don't know if this was audible out of the original play. I don't even know if Smitty was the first read on this play. But Smitty beat the corner. Jalen did not make the best pass. That's clear because he beat him straight away, and Smitty had to kind of fade to the right to try to make a catch. But Smitty absolutely should have made that catch because it hit him square in both hands. And you know how that goes. If it hits you in your hands, you got to make the catch, especially somebody of Smitty's caliber and ilk. You got to make that. But when it comes down to this game and the game absolutely being handed over to Arizona, that was on this drive alone. I already mentioned on their side of the field, after a onside kick with less than 5 minutes left in the game, our first play was a run play, I believe, to DeAndre Swift. It's a holding penalty. So automatically stops the clock. Now it's 1st and 20. But what did we decide to do on 1st and 20 it looks like at the 30, if not the 31-yard line? This is what Brian Johnson decides to call. Now, again, we don't know if this is all of Nick Sirianni's offense and is Brian Johnson calling these plays. But, bro, this could not have been a worse play call, a worse sequence of play calling I could have ever seen possible. Especially given it's a tie game. We're on their side of the field. This shit makes absolutely no sense. Because, yeah, you picked up 4 yards on a QB design run, which already spells bad news. Because your quarterback he's probably not 100% healthy. He was already banged up this season, but you're going to run QB design runs against a team that knows your tendencies. At least against a coach that knows your tendencies. So we run it again. First time not succeeding, try again. We're definitely going to get a first down this time. If not, let's say 8 yards, 10 yards. Absolutely not. They're just waiting for Jalen to try to cross the line of scrimmage. He doesn't even get close. Those 4 yards we picked up, we lost it right back. So, there goes homegirl asking what the hell are we doing? Because everybody was asking that. It made absolutely no sense. If you guys were wondering, or you guys were not really remembering how this went down, we only scored 3 points on this play. We're starting the ball off on their 30. So to cap off, the 2 bad, if not 2 worst play calls back to back, this is what we do on 3rd and 20. I mean, if this isn't coaching malpractice, I don't know what to call coaching malpractice. I really don't. Because on 3rd and 20, especially given that they couldn't even get the damn play out. They had to call a timeout to get that horrible 3rd down and 20 call out. They had to call a timeout for that shit. So, 3rd and 20, timeout called. What did we run? Obviously, the clip cut out. We run the screen to Kenny Gainwell. And what does that result in? Not only a loss of yards, but Smitty getting rolled up on and a 4th down field goal. So we're up by 3. So yes, we hit the 31 mark, what I anticipated to happen. But if you've seen this defense throughout the season, throughout this last couple weeks, they were going to break. And that's exactly what happened. Cardinals go out to win. And to everybody's surprise, including Eagles fans, you got 49ers fans, players watching closely, never anticipating that they would be in position to get the number 1 seed again and that we would have fell to the Cardinals. But that's exactly what we did. Why? Because that's who we've been the last couple weeks. We've been a team that has been able to score, but when it comes to the defense, we can't stop anybody. Not when it absolutely matters the most. We just can't. The Giants, that was like, obviously it's an anomaly. You're talking about a backup on a team that's not good. On a team that's not good, if they got their starter, obviously we could lose. So there is the Philadelphia Eagles, at least in the last couple of weeks, and going into possibly the postseason. Do I believe we can turn it around and change how we've been performing the last month? It's hard to really say that at this point because this team and really these players, they're just lacking confidence or lacking continuity. I think they're starting to doubt the coaches. I think they're starting to doubt even themselves and their teammates because the talent is on the team. but the performances are not. They're not performing up to the level in which they should, and it's making people question themselves. It's making the fans question themselves and the players. And is anybody wrong for that? Absolutely not. The only people that are really should be held responsible and wrong for this is the coaches. They're the ones that are supposed to set these guys up for success. They're the ones that make the play calls. Yes, the players are supposed to execute, but how can you execute any better on 2 QB design runs on 1st and 20 and 2nd and 16? What do you expect to do on that? I really couldn't tell you, and I don't think these coaches can tell you. At this point, the players have to prove it, and that's all we can do at this point. I already mentioned it going into these last 3 games. Nothing we do in these 3 games will convince anybody that we're ready for the playoffs, and that's not changed. It's only gotten worse. We look like a first-round exit just waiting to happen. Will that happen? That remains to be seen, but time will tell, obviously. We have the Giants coming up for this last game. We have an opportunity to at least get back some kind of dignity, some kind of pride, even though that's not a great team. Winning on the last game of the season would actually probably help. How much? We don't know. That being said, again, I appreciate all y'all for tapping in, watching, subscribing. Continue to do that. This is the Talk My Shit Again podcast. I'm your yet again more humble than hostile host, Cassius Cliff. We out to the next one.